Baseball All-Stars from Hoboken, and they're about to make history. They're the first American team ever invited to the Soviet Union to play exhibition games. It's called a Goodwill Tour, and to the Russians, it's another example of glasnost.
Certainly, the sport is one of the ways to bring people closer to each other. We call all our sportsmen ambassadors of goodwill and friendship.
As individuals, we're very different, but baseball has been our common ground. I believe we'll be in a similar situation once we get to the Soviet Union. We'll find people very different from ourselves, but I think we'll also find out how alike we really are.
The team is comprised of 14 and 15-year-olds from the Sandy Koufax League. They were state and Northeast regional champs last year with a 22-1 record. They are much more advanced than their Soviet counterparts, even though the Soviets are a little older. The ambassadors leave for their Soviet journey in the middle of August. It's a trip they feel goes far beyond the baseball diamond. They feel it could be instrumental in bringing the two countries a bit closer together. At the UN...
The ambassadors are the first team to receive an official invitation from the Soviet Union. Frank Casey has more.
The kids from Hoboken can do it all. Hit, run, throw, and hit with power. They're lean, mean, and ready for bear. Bear is in the Soviet Union.
They're very good athletes. I think the key is they're just as good off the field as they are on the field. I think the Soviet people will be very impressed by our 15-year-olds.
The 14 and 15-year-olds are this country's newest ambassadors of goodwill. And like President Teddy Roosevelt, they speak softly but carry big bats. During a 10-day tour of the U.S.S.R. next month, the Hoboken All-Stars, last year's Northeast regional champs, will take on the best teams the Soviets have to offer.
We are going to be playing older men, 22, 21-year-olds. But, you know, the skill of baseball takes many years to develop.
I'm looking forward to playing ball and learning their cultures and seeing how they react to our ways of life.
The motive behind the invitation from the U.S.S.R. Federation of Baseball may be more than glasnost and goodwill. Baseball, for the first time, will become an Olympic sport in 1992. The great American pastime is in its infancy in the U.S.S.R., so what better way to learn the game than from the people who invented it? You want to tell them everything?
Not everything. You can't have them too good, you know. Too much better than us.
In preparation for the historic trip, the young ambassadors are getting a crash course in basic Soviet culture and history.
We're going to do what it takes to win, but we're still going to be, you know, like ambassadors of goodwill. I mean, we can't ever forget that. That's what our coaches keep telling us.
You going to lose any games over there?
Yeah.
I suppose that says it all. I'm Frank Casey.
Was that happy?
Yes, his Russian hosts made a startling claim. They said that baseball was actually invented in their country. Hard to believe, huh? Well, now a group of 17 kids from Hoboken plan on showing the Russians a thing or two about that great American pastime. They call themselves the U.S. Ambassadors, and they happen to be one of the top Little League teams in America. Next week, the ambassadors will be boarding a plane for Moscow for a goodwill tournament against Russia's best.
I think we have a big advantage as far as the advantage of playing the game so long. These kids have been playing since they're 6, 7 years old, so we got the experience on them.
The ambassadors held their final workout today, going over some last-minute fundamentals, plotting a few surprises for their Russian hosts. They'll spend 2 weeks in 3 Russian cities, and they will be competing against players 6 or 7 years older than they are.
We're going over there to teach them a trade that they want to learn, and they're eager to learn for the 1992 Olympics. So we will be ambassadors.
I think we will bring friendship and peace throughout the nation down there. We'll have a good time with them.
For most of the ambassador players, the rivalry between the two superpowers is secondary. But make no mistake about it, these kids aren't traveling halfway around the world to lose.
You think you can take them?
Yeah, piece of cake.
Well, the trip to the Soviet Union will cost about $100,000, not cheap. The kids tried to raise the money themselves, but they fell about $55,000 short. And so, luckily, the folks at Taco Bell made up the difference. And so the trip goes on.
Over the Soviet Union. This Hoboken championship team, the Ambassadors, will be the first American youth baseball team ever to visit the Soviet Union. They'll participate in a tournament to promote goodwill and understanding between the two countries. I also hope they win. The kids will play against older Russian kids, but they say they're trying to teach them a lesson.
Teach them, how we live here, and hopefully they'll teach us. And through the eyes of kids, which is a lot easier than through the eyes of adults, we can promote peace.
Everybody knows it's a great game, and, you can make a lot of friends through baseball, so we will.
The youngsters leave for the Soviet Union on Wednesday.
And News Sports' Gloria Rojas watched their final day of practice.
You're looking at the first baseball team to be invited to play ball in the Soviet Union. The boys will be playing away games in places like Moscow, Kiev, and Tbilisi. Taking off on Wednesday, their mission will be to play and to teach the American game that will be an official Olympic sport in '92.
I'm just looking forward to meeting them and making new friends.
We're going to teach them as much as we can through workshops that we're going to be having during the week. So,
isn't it against the law to give Russians secrets?
to give them government secrets, right? Stuff like that. Top secrets. They asked us to help them, and we're going to help them learn.
Baseball is okay.
Yeah, baseball's all right.
No need explaining why the uniforms are red, white, and blue, and the name ambassadors was selected by the team members themselves. As a matter of fact, they display all the diplomatic skills required. Baseball isn't all they know. The boys had special training sessions in Russian culture and language. Ralph Eusebio, who already speaks 3 languages, English, Spanish, and baseball, picked up a smattering of a 4th.
Yes is da, no is nie, pasiva is please, pajasta is thank you, and yene panimanyo is I don't understand.
You're going to use that one a lot, huh? Say it again?
Yep, yene panimanyo.
The international invitation came last summer, the result of a fact-finding trip by Senator Frank Lautenberg. Coaches, parents, and players began preparations, and the corporate backing of Taco Bell made reality out of a dream. 2 nights ago, the Hoboken ambassadors were honored at the Yankee Stadium, and some of them hope someday to be Yankees. One coach is confident that nobody is going to defect to the Russians.
Devils are going to get 2 Russians maybe for the hockey team, so they might take 2 of mine for baseball team. Who knows?
I want to bring back a Russian hat, and I want to bring back a better knowledge of the country than I have now.
How could you even think of a Russian hat in this heat?
I don't know. It's going to get cold eventually, hopefully.
Gloria Rojas, News 4, New Jersey.
Under hot, hazy skies, the USA Hoboken ambassadors took to the diamond today before a crowd of media personnel all looking for the perfect shot of Hudson's Soviet-bound athletes. There were also proud relatives of the young men on hand to cheer the team on. One person told me they're just a bunch of down-to-earth kids.
I believe it'll be a growth experience. He's an honest student, a good student over at Xavier High School. And for him, it's expanding his horizons to between here and France, where he went in April. It's a magnificent opportunity to see the world. I don't know that he'd have the opportunity to get there if it were not for this beautiful Russian trip.
Team captain Mark Taglieri's grandmother says her daughter-in-law is going along on the trip as a chaperone, and she expects the Soviet people to greet the players warmly.
Well, I'm sure she hopes to find them warm and friendly like we are over here. They're not going to be much different, I don't think, than what we are here, really. They're people. People are people no matter where you go. And cultural may be different, yes. I'm sure that's going to be quite a difference for them. And as far as the boys, too, they're going to find living aspects are so much different there, I'm sure, than they are here, and they're going to see the difference, and which is good for them.
I think it's just going to be extremely enlightening as East meets West, and I think that the kids are going to bring back a tremendous amount. I think in their wildest dreams, especially these kids, never thought that they would ever make it to a place like Russia, and I think it's going to open up all kinds of horizons that are going to last far beyond just the scope of this trip.
As the team was going through the paces for the press corps today, I had a chance to speak with one of the players on last night's dinner, which was held for them at a genuine Russian restaurant in New York City. But before you hear what Blair DeGata had to say, this is what he anticipated might be on the menu when we spoke at Thursday's freeholder meeting.
Meat, I hope something. Meat, you know. That's the only thing I really know. I hope it's sort of like meat, really. Well, it wasn't what I expected, but the food was edible, really, you know. The food was filled with meat. Mostly everything was ravioli with meat inside, a croissant, meat, everything we had was like meatloaf inside.
the players may need the extra energy because there are some pretty shady rumors flying around their 18 to 22-year-old opponents.
Well, from what I understand and from what I read, the Soviets have started importing a lot of Cuban players to try and beef up the quality of their team. And I think against our kids, they're really going to have to beef up because our kids are going to be great.
It's not every day you get to see your son play ball against, you know, Soviets, Russians, Georgians, and others, you know, and this type of trip is just, I don't know how you pass it up. I was with this team in Warrensburg, Pennsylvania 2 years ago when we played for the North Atlantic Regional Championship. Followed most of these kids all through their Little League careers because I was coaching most of them. And, you know, so this has just been an ongoing thing for the last couple of years with this team. So, I mean, how do you miss this one?
The team leaves on Wednesday after receiving a City Hall send-off from the Hoboken community.
We'll have that, we'll have much more.
They're 14 and 15 years old. State and regional Sandy Koufax League champions last year. The Ambassadors now embark on their biggest test yet. Bags packed for a 2-week goodwill tour. The Ambassadors taking America's pastime to Russia.
If it helps to bring peace between our two nations, then it's great. So I'll do anything I can to help.
And quite a send-off. Flags flying, friends and family cheering. The mayor hands out keys to the city. Everybody says their biggest worry isn't meeting the Russian kids on the baseball field. It's what do we do for food? So their final hour here, what do? They eat a good old American pizza. Right, guys?
Right. We went to a Russian restaurant, and the food was supposed to be better than the one we were going to eat in Russia. And I didn't like it. It was awful.
Food aside, these kids anxious to meet their Russian counterparts who've just discovered America's game.
They're going to be the same as us. We're going to be playing a little boy's game named baseball. That's all it comes down to.
Glasnost comes to Hoboken. That's it for us. Bill.
Big crowd this afternoon to a send-off from City Hall in Jersey City. That's Hoboken, obviously. The team made up of 14 and 15-year-olds from the Sandy Koufax League will play 5 games over the next 10 days against the older and bigger Russian teams. But these Goodwill ambassadors say they are not intimidated. They're anxious to see a different culture and, of course, to have a good time.
And they will miss their hamburgers.
I'm sure they will.
Not pizza, as Mark Levin's Koufax All-Star team are off for a trip to the Soviet Union. They'll compete against Soviet kids in 3 cities. The trip was organized by Senator Frank Lautenberg, who says the idea was born last year when he told Soviet officials that the first organized baseball game ever played was in Hoboken.
Go ahead, Mike. Michael, go ahead. A few words, Mike, on your upcoming trip. Merry Christmas, Mike. Come on, Michael. Talk to you later. Okay, Mike.
Hey, Jody, lovely.
Fellas, let's have a few words, fellas. I'm rolling.
Hi, Dad. What is that? Smile, you're a candid camera.
How do you like me now?
I want to try
Bill. A few words. There you go. And here it comes.
will be, no matter which team is the victor, we will all be richer from the experience. So Billy, Joe, Walter, and the entire team, on behalf of Taco Bell, we wish you the very best of luck. Play ball.
And it's with pride that I introduce them tonight. Coach Bill Colhane, Coach Joe Reinhardt, and Coach Stinky Walter LeBrun.
Lori, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. On behalf of the coaches and the players, we would just like to thank all the local sponsors for their support, and also the citizens of Hoboken who rallied behind us. But also especially like to thank Taco Bell for making this dream become a reality. I know you'll be all proud of us in the next couple of days. Thank you very much.
Second of all, I'd like to thank the council, the mayor, everybody in the city of Hoboken, and especially all these boys. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here tonight. I have only one presentation to make. I autograph baseball for our team, for our mayor, Patty Pasquale. Come on, please. We present this to the city of Hoboken with the best of luck.
On behalf of the team and my fellow coaches, I would like to thank everybody for being here tonight, and say a little prayer for us while we're gone. And I'd like to thank the kids. They think they're sometime left out, and they're put in the background on this. Everybody kind of eats up the publicity and takes the glamour away, but they're the real ones that are going to be running the show here. And the people who are responsible for them, their parents and friends. Thank you very much. Starting off with Chili Willie Augusta from Hoboken. Joey Anderson. Francis Chipper Benway. Jason Casessa. Clay Capture. Foreigner, Derek Cusick.
Blair Jageda. Dominic Delafave. Derek England. Ralph Castuvio. Raymond Fiore. Ricky Huggins.
Last but not least, Danny Ortez, Michael Purvis, Joseph Sheeran, Mark Saglieri, and David Torres. Thank you, fellas.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we should like to acknowledge the presence of our Assemblyman, Bernie Kennedy Jr.
Thank you, Jimmy. Residents of Hoboken, a proclamation to the sparring team that we're here to honor tonight and pay tribute to. Whereas the first organized baseball game was played on June 19, 1846, when the New York Knickerbockers lost to the New York Club 23-1 in a 4-inning game at Elysian Fields, Hoboken. And whereas in 1987, Hoboken Sandy Koufax League team consisting of William Chili Augusto, Joseph Joey Anderson, Francis Chipper Benway, Jason Casessa, Derek Cusick, Clay Castro, Blair Jageda Jr., Dominic Don Delafave, Derek England, Ralphie Estuvio, Raymond Fiore, Daniel Ortiz, Ricky Huggins, Michael Purvis, Joseph Shearer Jr., Mark Taglieri, David Torres. Coaches, William Billy Cohane, Walter Dickey LeBranc, and Joseph Reinhardt, and manager Deborah Debbie Cohane were the North Atlantic champs. And whereas an invitation for a U.S.S.R. Goodwill Baseball Tournament came during a peace mission to the Soviet Union by Senator Frank Lautenberg in August 1987. And whereas Hoboken Sandy Koufax champions responded to the challenge to be the first American youth baseball team to play in the Soviet Union, whereas the champions have united as ambassadors to represent the United States of America in the U.S.S.R. Goodwill Tournament, whereas the ambassadors will be in the Soviet Union from August 17th to the 31st. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Pasculin, Mayor of the City of Hoboken, do hereby proclaim Sunday, August 14th, 1988, as the Ambassador's Day. I urge all citizens to join in the celebration at the Hoboken Little League Field, honoring Hoboken's champions.
And the coordinators with a copy of the resolution that was just read. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've honored the ball players. We thank their coaches. We thank the people who raised the funds. We thank their sponsors, the city, members of the city council. I think, in fact, I know, there is one other group that deserves a large round of applause. How about one for the families of these boys? And now, ladies and gentlemen, for a few closing remarks, Lori Fabiano. Lori?
Everyone here to a send-off for the team at City Hall at noon on Wednesday. The team will be getting in the bus and leaving with a police escort to JFK Stadium at 1 o'clock, and from 12 on, the whole town is invited to see them off. Thank you very, very much.
Sending the first contingent of youth from Hoboken, New Jersey, the United States of America, to Russia, into the Iron Curtain to play ball. It can only happen in Hoboken. And to the boys, I was talking to one of the fathers before, I said, did it hit them yet? of what's going on. He says,
team members and their parents only.
At this point, I'd like to introduce Ms. Stephanie Kay, representing Newtown, developing a better understanding between our two countries. The ambassadors will win in the Soviet Union. And they will return with a rich understanding that will transcend sports. I was happy to help set up this event while I was in the Soviet Union last year. And knowing how good a team you all are, I gave the Soviets a little bit of advice last year. Learn how to hit American fastball because they're going to be coming your way. Best of luck, Senator Frank Brown. People of Russia, not by words, but by their actions and by the way they play the game of baseball, by their decorum. And that is that there exists in this country of ours a small community named Hoboken, the birthplace of baseball, and in that small community, our young men grow and learn how to play the game with a talent and an aggressiveness all their own they become fans for. And more importantly, that they learn the values of a free democratic society and a free way of life, and to spread that goodwill to the people of Russia. Thank you all, fellas. You're certainly very passionate. Thank you, people of Hoboken, for helping us team the war. Thank you very much.
All right, let me hear a few words on your trip. You're there. Oh, you're there? You didn't even take off yet, Mary. You don't want to be on, Billy? Let me see that flag. How's it feel to be going to Russia, Mike? How's it feel to be going to Russia, Mike? You can't hear me, Mike? Are you going to... Fellas, that's the way. Give me a wave at least. Huh? Good work. You're going to be the umpire, pup. You're proud of who, Ann? Girls.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah.
Get in there. It's going to take me 6 anyway.
How you doing?
How you feeling? How you feeling, right?
What's up?
Hey, welcome home. All right, here we are.
Hi, Dad.
What happened, Mary? What are you doing?
Hi, Daddy. I just came home.
How was it? Come here, sir.
Alfie, say hello.
What are you doing?
Mary, how are you?
How's everything? Yeah, good. She's cleaning up the house. You let me go?
Hello, folks.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
How you doing?
Welcome home. How you doing? Welcome home.
And there comes the Fiore family. How are you? Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello, Joe. Smiles on you guys.
Let's go, fellas. How are you? Hello, Michael. How are you? Pinky, how are you? Ricky, how are you?
Sharon, how you doing?
That's here. How was it? How? I heard it.
to be home, honey? To be back home, Ann. Ann. Two words, Ann. How does it feel to be back home?
words to say that we're proud of you, that you did right, everybody's right, and to say that when I was in the Soviet Union the end of last summer, and I met with people from the Communist Sports Federation for a team that's distinguished itself, that's played in a city where they don't even have room for a baseball field, but are so motivated to learn, to play, to participate, that we'll beat anybody that you come up with. I understand.
Let's shake his hand, Joe.
It seems to be catching on in the Soviet Union, of all places, where some high school ball players from Hoboken, New Jersey, are showing the Soviets how to hit the curveball. Jim Laurie reports.
It was the 25-year-old Soviet newcomers limbering up to meet the 15-year-old American veterans. The Russians, who've been playing American-style ball for about 2 years now, out there with their Houston Astros T-shirts, their borrowed Spokane uniforms, and their American Soviet trade consultant turned coach.
Their strongest point overall is their enthusiasm, because they really have taken to baseball.
Meanwhile, back in Hoboken, New Jersey, the home team was limbering up at the Elks Club, learning a few words of Russian.
Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Can't hear you.
Not much enthusiasm, perhaps, but what Hoboken lacked in language, they made up for in baseball. Most of these kids have been playing since they were 7, and they were here to prove a point. The Russians once claimed they invented baseball with a similar game called lopta in the 16th century, under that great slugger, Ivan the Terrible. But the American fans and family here know better. It was 1846, and...
The first game was in Hoboken, so our team came over to show them.
And show them they did. 2-1 and 5-3 in 2 games, shortened by bad weather and darkness. But it wasn't easy. Hoboken's star pitcher, Danny Ortiz, had his hands full. The Russians were eager to score, usually too eager. And when the Americans tried to steal bases, the Russians were ready. Whatever the outcome, the Russian fans were impressed.
Я первый раз смотрю, то понимаю.
First time to see it, said this fan, but I loved it. And the Americans, no words needed. They've got 9 more days in the Soviet Union, and they will prove Hoboken was the birthplace of baseball. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Moscow.
Games. They are, John Donovan reports, the boys of Moscow.
The Cuban advisor in the middle tells the Spanish to Russian translator in the dress, who explains to the Soviet ball player in the hat that he and his buddy have been throwing the ball around like a pair of old ladies, or something roughly equivalent to that. And thus the Soviets are barreling forward in their crash program to learn to play baseball in time for the Seattle Goodwill Games 2 years from now, and then for the Spain Olympics in 1992. Obviously, they've been practicing. When this Soviet squad in pinstripes took the field here recently to play a much younger high school-age team from New Jersey, the Soviets lost to the Americans, as expected. But they took the game to extra innings, and they trailed at the end by only 1 run, which surprised everybody.
Well, I thought they're better than we thought they were going to be. We knew they were going to be much older and stronger than us, but they appeared to be, they learned the sport quicker than we thought they'd learn.
Not that it comes naturally. Day 2 of baseball training for this potential player, his swing didn't sing. Meanwhile, fellow future fielders fumbled frequently, till the Soviet coach stepped in and said, "Stop moving around like ballerinas." The players who have been at it a couple of years, meanwhile, at least are looking like ball players. Against the U.S. team, they tried double plays. They fielded bunts, and somehow they managed to look familiar. The fans, however, have a lot to learn. Most missed the meaning of this American game on a soccer field. Despite the best efforts of the official explainer, Make it make sense. Not the best baseball announcing in the world, but no doubt the Soviets are working on that one, too. John Donvan, CNN, Moscow.
And we're out of here. I'm Chuck Rock. Teenagers traveled to the Soviet Union for the sport of it, where they really hit a home run.
The Hoboken team had been invited for a 6-game tour after visiting Soviet officials claimed that baseball really originated in Russia, not in Hoboken in 1846, as most folks believe. The ambassadors, as they're called, didn't get much competition from the older but less experienced Soviet players. However, Hoboken star pitcher and home run hitter thinks that will change.
From the teams that we played, within 2 years, they've done a very good job as far as mastering the sport. And give the youngsters a few years, and they'll be right up there with us.
In Moscow, you don't cross some streets. There are tunnels which pedestrians must use. A team coach who's also a Hoboken police sergeant violated that rule and was nabbed by Soviet police.
And they asked me for my passport. I didn't have my passport with me, and it was a big hassle. Finally, I pulled out my badge, and I showed them my badge, and they kind of let me go.
Except for getting a little tired of Soviet food, all who went on the tour agreed it was more enjoyable than they'd anticipated.
I thought it was going to be like guards and stuff, but it was real nice.
For the tour's organizer, the high point was the time spent in Soviet Georgia.
Georgians are especially warm people. They're absolutely wonderful. If you compliment them on something, they'll take it off and give it to you.
It's been great.
Don't compliment him on his pants.
Plans now call for a Soviet baseball team to come to this country in October. You can be sure they will be welcomed here in Hoboken. Robert Miller for the News at 10.
There we go.
Representatives of the Soviet Union and the United States met in Moscow, Kiev, and Tbilisi last month, not to talk about disarmament. They were there to play ball. The U.S. ambassadors, an amateur baseball team from Hoboken, New Jersey. Well, they met their Soviet counterparts in a series of 5 games. It wasn't exactly an even match. The ambassadors were 14 and 16 years old. The Soviet players 5 to 10 years older. But that didn't faze the Hoboken 9. They swept that series 5-zip. The ambassadors are the first team to receive an official invitation from the U.S.S.R. Federation of Baseball to play in that country. It seems the Soviets are accelerating their baseball program in order to send a team to the 1992 Olympics. And here, right off the plane from Moscow, Coach Bill Culhane and third baseman Michael Purvis. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, John.
Bill, tell me about this, how it came about.
Well, it came about last summer. There was an article in the New York Times saying that the Soviets invented baseball. We all know that baseball, the first game was played in Hoboken, New Jersey, back in 1846. So we asked to send them an invitation and ask for a challenge. They responded about a month later, inviting us over.
When you were over there, did you discuss this point about who invented baseball? Did it ever come up in the conversation?
It came up at the UN before we left, and the Soviet ambassador mentioned that he wasn't too sure that was the case. So we went over there with 17 children, 3 coaches. Thanks to our sponsor, Taco Bell, made the trip possible.
Wow, and you won all 5 games. Mike, that must have been a thrill for you. You're a third baseman, right?
Yes.
And you had a very special occasion over there, your 15th birthday, and that was a surprise. Tell me about that.
My 16th birthday.
16, excuse me. Didn't cheat you by a year there.
We had a schedule made up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was going by what the schedule said. And
what did the schedule say?
9 o'clock, we had to go to an opera. Right?
To an opera on your birthday, your 16th birthday? Okay.
So I was with one of my teammates, and we were fooling around, and it was 9 o'clock. He said, it's time to go. So I followed him downstairs to the disco, and I walked in. Surprise, big cake coming. Here comes 2 big cakes.
Who baked the cake for you?
Some of the Soviet ball players' mothers.
Oh, that's a nice thing. Let's talk a little bit about the games. You played 5 official games there. You won them all. And we've got a piece of film of one of the games there when you played the Soviet Union. How were they basically as players, and how were they as friends, as new friends?
Well, as players, we were very surprised how far they've come in 2 years. We knew they were older than us. The games in Moscow and Kiev were very close games. Tbilisi, they were a little younger. They didn't play as well, but we were very, very surprised on the talent that they showed.
That first game was a tough one.
It was a tough game? You had some training sessions, didn't you, where you helped them, gave them some pointers there?
Yeah, in between the games we had training sessions.
Do you think there ought to be more of these, and are there any plans to have more of these exchanges?
Well, I think one of the Soviet teams is coming here in October to Johns Hopkins University. The Cubans are over there teaching them.
We look forward to that, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. We'll be back in just a minute.
You know, we have so much stuff here at the World Trade. We've got to cram everyone in. Jeff McBride has been our resident magician this morning. He opened at the Ballroom tomorrow night at 11 o'clock.
Tomorrow at the Ballroom at 11 o'clock through September 24th.
Have fun. Thank you. I need some head and shoulders now. Okay, now we move over to baseball. Walter, you got some streamers in your hair. Remember everyone hearing about that baseball team of kids from Hoboken who went over to the Soviet Union to play a little baseball and show those Ruskies what baseball is like? These are the guys, and they've come back. Gang, I want to say welcome back to you.
Nice to be back.
Hey, listen, was it fun over there? Your name is Bob, right?
No, Joe Sheeran.
Joe, okay. What position do you play?
First base.
Okay, you guys are from the Babe Ruth League, and you play in Hoboken, and you went over to the Soviet Union to play a couple of games. What was it like playing against Soviet teams?
Well, we had a great time, but it was kind of different because we weren't used to competing with guys older than us.
Uh-huh. Were you scared at all going over to a country like Russia?
Nah, I was excited because, like, we're the first American youth team to ever go over there, so I was kind of excited to go.
Are they good?
They're good. Did all right.
But really not up to par with you guys yet?
Nah.
Okay, let's talk to the coach for a minute. Walter LeBrink.
LeBrink, right.
That's right, I'll get it. Walter, you know, it was quite a trek to make, and professionally, how do you think the Russians are going to turn out? They're getting ready to play in the Olympics. Is that correct?
Right. I give them a few years, not by 1992, but by 1996 they should be pretty well educated in the sport and trained, you know, to a better degree. Right now they're just starting out, and they got a ways to go yet.
Okay, let me ask you something. What's your name, guy?
Mark Taglieri.
Mark, did you feel any pride going over there? I mean, you really were representing the United States.
Not so much, you know, representing our city, like, but the United States definitely. Because, I mean, just looking at the uniforms, we have USA all over us.
But did you feel pride, though?
Yeah, I felt a lot of pride. Really proud to be an American over there.
Okay.
We showed them how American people are.
We're proud of you guys. Welcome back. Okay, and we'll catch as the Soviet Union tries to get ready for more baseball. Should be interesting. Back to you, Fitz.